morning, and we have a good half an hour to just have a general introduction to WISE campaign and to find out a little bit more about who we are, what we do, and an introduction to diversity. I know that some of you will probably have quite a lot of experience with diversity and inclusion. Others may be new to it, so hopefully this will just give a little bit of an insight. Obviously, it's a very, very big topic, and hopefully it will lead you on to search for more information as we go through. So Hannah, if you could just pop through to the first slide, that would be great. Thank you. So who are WISE? WISE are diversity and inclusion change makers, and we've been present in the market since 1984. So we have over 3 decades of experience in this particular area, and we're working with leading STEM organisations across the entire UK and Northern Ireland. We are a not-for-profit business-to-business membership organisation, and we feel we are the partner of choice for organisations who want to make real change, sustainable improvement to gender balance in STEM roles in the UK. Our aim is to improve business performance through better gender balance, and we are specifically looking at gender. But in that, when you're looking at diversity, you're looking across the whole board. So anything that we recommend and work with is about diversity in general, but diversity in general, but it is particularly looking at gender and the gender balance. We understand the issues, having had 30 years experience, and we provide practical programs and tools which make a national sustainable impact at all stages, from entry-level roles right the way through to the boardroom. So we're working at all the different levels. There are a wide range of services available with WISE. We have a whole range of programs and activities and resources. We have the 10 Steps program, which helps organisations to measure and develop diversity inclusion, to benchmark where you are and to show that change as you work through different initiatives. We can provide training and development, which can be bespoke or it can be off the shelf. We can provide member benchmarking and networking opportunities, again across the whole of the UK and often wider. We provide thought leadership and inclusive focused campaigns, and do take time to have a look on our website and see what's there, because there are so many different campaigns going on at the moment. With WISE, there's access to a network of over 200 like-minded member organisations, and we can offer expert support services to these organisations who are hoping to improve their gender balance and to boost engagement and advancement of women within their own workplace and the wider workplace. We work with members, we give them tailored support, and we find their starting points and track them along the journey to better gender balance. Next slide, please. I'm just hoping the next slide comes up. There's always a slight delay in these. Thank you, Hannah, that's great. Just a very quick look really about WISE members by industry. We're focusing very much on STEM, and we do tend to look at the core STEM industries, but we have a whole range of different organisations, leading with manufacturing, engineering, construction, automotive, aerospace, right the way through to those health, biological, digital, telecommunications, and these are all underpinned with member organisations who come from professional organisations, education, academia and research. So it's not just the industries themselves, it's the supporting organisations and the educational organisations that we work with, bringing a holistic view to engaging with the broader gender balance. Next slide, please. So the goal for WISE is to get women to be at least 30% of the UK STEM workforce by 2030, and we're certainly on the way there. But I can almost hear you thinking as I say 30%, why 30% when women represent 50% of the potential workforce? But what we're looking at is 30% being a critical mass. It represents a critical mass at which other women will see themselves represented within that workforce, and they will feel welcomed to participate, invited to participate. Imagine yourself walking into a room full of people, and if you are female, imagine that room is full only of men. Everyone that you see is male. and you won't feel welcome, you won't feel included. It will be difficult. You can reverse that role and it'd be a room full of women and you're a man walking into the room. When you have 30% of people in that room that have some connection to yourself, then you will begin to feel welcome and potentially part of that, invited into it. 30% has been shown to be the tipping point. It is the level at which a minority group becomes able to influence real change. So we're hoping for 50%, but 30% is the critical mass. Next slide, please. Quick sip of water while the slides are changing. So why are we looking at diversity? So why is it important for organisations to have a diverse workforce? Let's have a think about those reasons that might make your organisation consider putting time and resources into making your organisation more diverse. Next slide, please. What I'm going to do is ask you to just either mentally or physically, if you've got pen and paper there and you're able to doodle, just have a little go at this short activity. Draw a large square, okay, even if you're imagining it. Now draw 4 smaller squares inside that square. And now draw a triangle. Nothing difficult, you'll have an image in front of you. It may be drawn, it may be mental. If you can just press for the next slide, next stage, please, Hannah, thank you. I'm hoping that you will have drawn something that either looks like we have here on the slide, or maybe that's totally different. And what I'm showing you is that each of you have thought about the problem that I put in front of you. I've given you some instructions, and you've come up with your own solution. And I'm hoping that everybody will have different solutions. Some will overlap, some will be similar, some will be totally different. Some might be totally out of the box, so to speak. And what it shows is that we are all different. We all bring our own views, our own ideas to the table. And it's those sorts of views and differences that our industries and economy rely on. They need innovative solutions to complex problems in order to be successful and to compete on the global economic platform. We need to ensure that we make use of the diverse skills and talents of the full talent pool, everybody, not just half the talent pool. If we continue to make use of the same people in the same way, we will do the same things. And in doing so, we may not be answering those problems that we have for the future, for future industries, for future health, for future sustainability. So diversity is critical to provide solutions. Next slide, please. So let's have a think about why it makes better business sense. Because anything that we're going to do as a business where we're going to make change or do something differently can incur costs. And as such, we need to make sure that we give evidence as to why it's important to make that investment. And actually, diversity, when you do start to go through it, doesn't require a great deal of financial investment. What it requires is a better mindset, a change of mindset. So if we look at the graph on the right, it shows a study by a major Finnish bank, Nordea, and they analysed 11,000 companies. And this revealed, the research revealed, that companies that had a female CEO or head of the board of directors had a 25% annualized return over 8 years. This was compared to the 11% annualized return for the broader worldwide index of firms. And this research and this evidence is not unique. Many studies have been replicated of this type, both UK and globally, worldwide, and all conclude that a more diverse C-suite is connected to higher margins, bigger profits, and a better total return to shareholders. Well, what company would not want that? And particularly if it can be offset against a very small amount of resources to put forward to enable that. But actually the benefits are so much more than just that increased profitability. Diversity across all aspects of organisations and at all levels offers a whole range of benefits. A better choice of skilled workers. You have this wide range of people, you're tapping from the full talent pool, you can get the best workers, you can get the people that are best suited that job. It's a better platform for innovation and creativity. We've seen that just by that short, simple exercise about boxes and triangles. Better workforce productivity, people are happier, better customer experience, because you are dealing with customers and they're able to, the people that you have within your company understand the needs of a diverse group of customers. And as well as better financial performance, you are likely to be winning the race for talent. Next slide, please. And importantly, we need to make sure that we don't break the law. The costs of breaking the law are high. There are no limits on Equality Acts. So what we need to do is we need to think about the law and how the law stands at the moment. The Equality Act 2010 brings together all previous equality laws, and it makes it law that every private, public and voluntary sector must not discriminate against employees and service users because of particular characteristics. So if they do discriminate against their employees or service users, they could be breaking the law. And it is critical that people understand what the Equality Act means. People remember the Equal Pay Act of 1970, the Sex Discrimination Act of 1975, and many more pieces of legislation. This act brings together 116 different pieces of equality legislation together into one place, making it much easier for people to understand the law. And the characteristics it covers are age, disability, race, religion or belief, sex, sexual orientation, and it is important that you understand these and are aware and familiar with those. Sorry, we're losing track there. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. Under the Equality Act of 2010, there are 5 main types of discrimination, which include direct discrimination, indirect discrimination, harassment, victimisation, and positive discrimination. And it is easy to find out if you have a look online what these each mean. Direct discrimination, where you directly do something that affects somebody. Indirect discrimination, you may not know what you're doing that's affecting somebody, but there is an instance where they will be affected. Harassment and victimisation often take place within the workplace. They can be subtle, they can be overt, but they need to be considered and reduced and made sure that they don't happen. If they do happen, then it's essential that employers take action and ensure it doesn't happen again. Positive discrimination is illegal under the Equality Act. You cannot employ somebody because they have a protected characteristic, one of the 9 protected characteristics. You must try to increase the number of people making the application, but when it comes to the time of making interviews and choice for people to actually take on that job, you must choose people because they are the best person for the job. And the only time when that changes is where you have 2 identically capable candidates, identically qualified candidates. And at that point, you can then make a choice as to which candidate is most likely to fulfill the gap that you may have. But other than that, positive discrimination is illegal. Can we have the next slide, please? So where are we at? At the minute, we have a leaky pipeline. The STEM education pipeline, even though girls and boys are completing roughly the same number of STEM GCSEs at age 16, and once they go on to STEM A levels, girls are completing 51% of STEM A levels. There is a level of choice. At the STEM A level point, girls are opting out of science subjects, certain science subjects. They are still going through biology, but they are much less likely to take up physics, to take up engineering. There is a lower number taking up maths. And certainly if we go back to the GCSE, very few girls are taking up computing, 21% at the moment, and in engineering, it's 10%. When we look at STEM apprenticeships, only 9% of STEM apprenticeships are completed by women. If we look at core STEM subjects at degree, 26% of core STEM subjects are completed by women. Again, this is taking out the health subjects. But even so, there are selections and choices where women are opting out. And ultimately what that means is 24% of the core STEM workforce is made up of women. Only a quarter of our workforce is made up of women. And yet we have 50% of our population capable of taking on those particular subjects. We have a skill shortage in the UK, which is estimated to cost employers an astonishing £1.5 billion each year. And it is essential that we recognise that skills shortage and that we tap the full talent pool. The UK jobs market is dynamic, it's changing very quickly, and we More skills are needed, more up-to-date skills, computer skills, digital skills, manufacturing skills, and we need to make sure we engage the whole talent. So next slide, please. What is diversity? Next, please. The definition of diversity is about recognising people's different backgrounds, their knowledge and skills, and valuing those skills within the workplace. Next slide, please. There are many, many aspects of diversity. This is a really lovely wheel showing the original 6 protected characteristics, which now have increased to 9, and much, much wider than that. Things such as your background, whether you have a military background, whether you have certain interests, your social economic status, all these are aspects of diversity that we need to consider and value. Next slide, please. So what is inclusion? Workplace inclusion is when people feel valued and accepted in their team and in the wider organisation without having to conform. It's really important that we not only accept, but we value and we are inclusive when people come into our workplace. Next slide, please. So diversity and inclusion. Diversity is the hardware. Next slide, next please. Inclusion, the software. When we're thinking about how things work, we're thinking about diversity as being the hardware, the people that come in. Inclusion is the software. It's having that sense of belonging, and it is that that makes the system work. It is a bit like inviting people to the board table, and we have a group of people all around the table, all diverse, but unless we allow them the opportunity to not only speak, but to be heard and for their words to be acted upon, then we cannot at this stage be inclusive and have that sense of belonging. Next slide, please. So introduction to unconscious bias. If we just go into the next slide, we'll just talk a little bit about unconscious bias. If I was to ask you, and you were in a queue and you've got 5 seconds because it's a hot day and you're taking children to the beach, what's your favourite ice cream? You'd be able to tell me straight away. You'd want a vanilla maybe, or a strawberry. It's unlikely that you'd want Heston Blumenthal's bacon ice cream, what they brought out recently. And the reason for that is because when we have to make snap and quick judgments, we do it quickly based on what we know, what's reliable, and the least amount of risk. And we constantly need to make snap judgments, quick decisions. Our brains do this automatically by processing what we've learned in the past. So unconscious bias is part of that. We know that we have bias. We all do. As I've said with the ice cream and many more examples. A bias is one that we're unaware of, it happens outside of our control, and it happens automatically, often triggered by our brain making very quick judgments and assessments of people and situations. And all of these are influenced by our own background, our individual culture and environment, and our own personal experiences. We will each have different conclusions when we make a snap decision. And that's based on the prehistoric evolutionary theory that we make that snap decision for survival. Is the person coming towards us a friend or a foe? Are they dominant or not? Are they going to lead our tribe? What's their level of attractiveness? So again, going back to that survival mode, how is our tribe going to survive? But it has stayed there. And what happens is that we make 200,000 unconscious brain operations for every single conscious brain operation. You cross the road, you're making decisions about speed, whether traffic's coming, whether it's safe to cross, whether you take the children, it's all done automatically. But these decisions can be risky when you apply them to the workplace. So it's very, very important that we take the time to reason out and decide why we've made a decision. Next slide, please. If you just put the whole slide on, Hannah, that would be great, I think, because I've noticed that we are going a little short on time here. So, bias in the workplace. How does our deciding whether somebody's a friend or a foe or which ice cream we're going to eat, how does that impact upon the workplace? Have a think about the people that you presently work with. What do they look like? What are their interests and backgrounds? Do you all get on? You will feel safe and comfortable in that environment. You have people that you can trust. And because of that, when you start to look at the new people coming in, when you're interviewing, maybe when you're searching through job applications and CVs, you may be unconsciously looking for somebody that is similar to those people that already exist in that role. not prepared to take a risk, not prepared to go for Heston Blumenthal's bacon ice cream. You want somebody that is very similar to the people that you already employ and that you know you can trust. But you may be losing out in the competition for talent because the best person for the job was discounted on application, maybe was discounted at interview, left your organisation early because they didn't feel part of it, or did not apply in the first instance, or did not apply for progression opportunities as they went through the system. Next slide, please. So have a think. Again, impact of lack of diversity. If we think just of the news over the last year or so, we all saw the NASA debacle where they promoted the all-female spacewalk, but they didn't have female spacesuits. It was a phenomenally bad marketing situation. We look at PPE. We saw during COVID that masks and equipment were designed for men. It was putting women at risk of death. So it wasn't just a case of it was bad marketing. It had serious implications. The most recent incident that I found that was quite interesting was the racist hand sanitizer, which, because it was reflecting light off surfaces and could work on paper and white hands, did not work with a different skin tone. It reflected very badly, if you pardon the pun, on the company that was promoting it and producing it. So lack of diversity can lead to a negative perception of an organisation. It can be costly and reduce profit. It may not solve problems, your clients' problems. It doesn't meet your clients' needs. And there is a failure to attract diverse talent because people won't want to work for you if they think you're an organisation that doesn't value them. Next slide, please. So best practice opportunities. It's really important that you take every opportunity, and working with WISE will give you that. We can help you and support you to find opportunities. We can make diversity a normal, you should make diversity a normal part of communication. Review induction processes, professional development and appraisal processes so you don't include unconscious bias in your training elements. Define or design unconscious bias programs that's suitable for rollout for leaders, for hiring managers. Call out bias, banter and bullying behaviour. Ensure that staff know the difference between equity and equality. Equality is where everybody is treated the same. But if you have two people, one person who's a good runner and one person who's got a mobility issue, and you stick them on the same starting point to run a race, the likelihood of the person with a mobility issue achieving and winning is zero. So what you need to do is to make adjustments, and that's equity, where you treat everybody according to their individual needs. So it's really important that all your colleagues know the difference between equity and equality. Next slide, please. Now, I'm quite conscious that we only have 5 minutes left in the webinar, and this is being recorded, so you will have opportunities to read through these. WISE works with quite a lot of organisations, and they have provided us with case studies of how the work that we've done has helped them promote better diversity generally, and specifically to look at gender diversity. So I'm not going to read through this slide completely. There's a lot of information. They organised diversity inclusion days around the world, promoted leadership programmes. Next slide, please, Hannah. We have a second slide here. Again, they put questions on discrimination and harassment in staff surveys. Next slide, please, Hannah. Thank you. So what they've recommended is that we have a range of different promotional activities that supported their organisation, and you can find those case studies certainly when we send this through to you, and the same with this company WISE and IMI. I would like to, I'm rushing through this section, so I'm really sorry that I am doing so, but I would like to have the opportunity for you to ask a couple of questions and for me to feed back to you. So all these case studies with the different organisations that we're doing, we will send through to you so you can have a look at those. But it's about working with organisations, starting, finding out where you are. Many people are well on the way with the journey. Some people are just starting it, and helping you along that pathway. So if you've got some questions and you would like to ask those questions now, just pop them into the chat line. I think, Hannah, we have a couple of pre-prepared questions that people have sent through in advance of the session. Do you want to just fire a couple of those at me? So if anybody's got questions, just pop them onto the chat line through the question section or the chat.
Yes, so we've got a couple of pre-submitted questions. One was, we are looking at all aspects of diversity, not just gender. How can WISE help us?
Okay, that's a really good question, because I think quite a lot of people. But could you just turn your volume down, Hannah? Do you mind? I'm getting feedback. Thank you. So a very good question. A lot of people, when they look at the WISE campaign, they think it's only about women and about getting more women into STEM. That is our primary focus. But in order to do that, we have to look at diversity generally, and all aspects of diversity and good practice in diversity relate to all of the 9 protected characteristics. The other thing I would say is that within the group of women, there will be diversity within that. So we need to make sure that we are recruiting Black women, disabled women, women with different sexual, and sorry, I'm absolutely rushing through, so I didn't mean to do that. So we need to look at the diversity within the different women that we have. So it may be that we're looking at how those women present themselves, whether they're Black women in the community, whether they have a disability, whether they have differing needs. So diversity is not just about one aspect of one group of people. It requires us as an organisation to look at all aspects of diversity. And so when you're coming to us, that's what we will be doing. Hannah, could I have the next question, please? Sorry.
Yeah, so we had, do we have to be a member of WISE to work with you?
Not at all. WISE is a membership organisation. We actively encourage you to become a member because there are so many benefits that you can get as a member. But what we need to do is we need to engage with every organisation. We've got lots of resources, lots of opportunities, chances for you to showcase your role models on the My Skills, My Life. So what I would say to you is get in touch, whether you're a large company or a small company or a one-person business. Come and talk to us and we'll see what resources and facilities we have, or how we can help and support you across the STEM facilities to engage with more women. Thank you. So have we got any other questions there? Can you see anything, Hannah?
There are a few questions in the question tab. Do you want me to read those out, Faye? Or are you...
Yes, because I can't see them on here. For some reason, they've not come through onto my
Okay,
section.
no problem. So what is the workforce participation rate breakdown by gender? And do we have these statistics broken down by age groups and industry?
The WISE statistics are on the WISE campaign website, and the statistics do show the numbers of women working in the different areas of STEM. So you can quickly take a look at that. They aren't then disaggregated by age, but that might be something, if you're wanting to find out specifically about that, what you could do is contact us and we can have a look at that, because it should be reasonably easy to try and work that out. But I think at this stage, the best thing to do is to say, have a look at the WISE statistics. They're updated every year. They show the whole range of participation in the workforce at all levels, in the different sectors. So to just answer one off at the moment, I can't give you that off the top of my head, but those statistics are readily available if you go to the WISE campaign website. Another question, Hannah?
What advice would you give to an organisation who are just starting out on diversity and inclusion, and what would the first step be?
I think the first step is to get some expert advice and to really make sure that you have good lines of communication within your organisation so you can put out the information. Have everybody engaged from the top level down. So senior managers have to be seen to be part of it right the way through. And if you can showcase with your senior managers the importance of diversity, how it's going to impact upon your organisation, how it's going to make it better, then that's your starting point. So certainly come and talk to us about that. I'm conscious now we're coming to the end of the webinar. We're coming up to the 30 minutes. So please do take time to have a look at the WISE campaign website, get in touch with us. If we haven't answered your question at this point, come back to us, we will try and do that. We're going to record this session, and so we will send you that across and the links. I think Hannah has a feedback slide which will come up next, and we would very much welcome your feedback on the session. It's a very short amount of time and a very big subject, but I think the starting point is the fact that you've attended this session, the fact that you're taking time out. Please come and talk with us. So important that all our organisations have diversity generally, and that we look at gender and make sure that women have the opportunity to engage with you and showcase their talents within your organisations. So thank you very much for your time.